last week was my first week of homeschooling her. I gotta say it was a lot of work, but it was very rewarding. Hey everyone, it's Karen with Hey Mamas, and today I am sharing with you my first week of semi-homeschooling Layla Jane. If you watched my last vlog, you know that Brian and I have come to the decision to semi-homeschool Layla Jane right now. We have decided to only send her to school one day a week. I am going to homeschool preschool. Also, I have joined some local homeschooling co-ops. This last week was my first week of homeschooling her. I have decided that each week I'm going to have a theme that I base all of my activities and crafts and lessons on. This week's theme was weather. Each day I made sure I had a book, an activity, and a craft to go with it. I also have created my own worksheets to go with each lesson that might cover counting, letters, letter sounds, tracing, scissor skills, patterns, something like that. And I actually have all of those for sale on my Etsy store and my Springtree store, and those links are down below if you're interested in getting any of those worksheets. Anyways, on Monday, we started off doing a counting worksheet. Again, one of the ones that I created. It had a weather theme to it. The book we read was just from the library. I got all of my books from the library because I don't want to have to go and pay for any books. The library has so many, so definitely check out your library for some good resources and books that go with your theme. We read about clouds. So I thought it would be fun to do an activity where we took a piece of blue paper, I divided it into 4 sections and wrote each type of cloud on there. So like nimbus, cumulus, stratus, all those. And then I gave Layla a bunch of cotton balls and we glued them on there to recreate how each cloud looks. So it was just more of a hands-on learning thing. Instead of just reading about it, she actually got to create the clouds. And then for our activity, this one was super fun. We created a cloud in a jar. Super easy. It's pretty much everything you'll probably already have in your house. We took a clear mason jar. I filled it up with some hot water and then quickly sprayed some aerosol hairspray in it and then put the lid on and then put ice on top of the lid. It created like a cloud within the jar, and then if you open the lid up, you can let the cloud out, and it was just really fun to see that. We actually had to do that quite a few times because Layla really had fun doing that project. Tuesday, we were actually at my mom's house, so I will let you see what we did on Tuesday. So today we are actually over at my parents' house, Grandma and Grandpa's, and the great thing about homeschooling is you can do it anywhere, so I just brought some of our activities here and thought it'd be fun to do it with Grandma. Today's book that we might read now, or sometimes we read it at nighttime, but again, another library book. This one is just totally amazing facts about weather. It just looked like fun little things to look at. So we'll be looking at this one later. She is coloring right now. I told her we were doing a rainbow activity, so now she wanted to color a rainbow. Pretty soon we're gonna be working on this worksheet. Again, this is another one I created that you can find in my store. The link is down in the description below, and you can see some links down there to access to all my PDFs that I made for Layla. This one is just on patterns, which is different patterns, and then she's gonna cut out the bottom and glue the correct answer into the blank spot. Now, since we're talking about weather this week and rainbows are a fun part of weather, we're going to make a rainbow pop-up book. I chose blue. You can choose whatever color you want, and just folded it over and kind of cut it down to make it, you can make it any size you want. I just want it to be a little smaller. And then you just need another white piece of paper. I'm gonna get this first part set up for her so she's then ready to decorate it. Now, this is gonna be the rainbow pop-up part. You need to make sure it is the same width as one side of this. So here's the sheet of paper, and now I'm gonna have Layla Jane color red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. All done. Stayed in line for the most part. Now you need to do an accordion style fold with this. This might be a little too hard for your kids depending on their age. I don't think Layla could get it exactly, so I'm gonna do this part for her and let her do the gluing next. Oh, you wrote your name on it. Look how cute this is, you guys. Isn't that adorable? You wanna make a heart too now?
I'm going to make a heart.
Okay. Tuesday was super fun, and I think Layla really liked incorporating grandma into it. You know, that's kind of the perks of homeschooling. You can get other people involved too and make it a really fun, big learning experience. Wednesday was also super fun. Here is what we did on Wednesday. It's Wednesday, and for today, we're focusing more so on wind for our lesson and activities today. We're going to start off doing a worksheet that I created, and this one focuses on tracing. We're going to be doing some wind painting and also be making a wind sock. I have a wind book that I got at the library that we're going to be reading at some point during the day too. Well, I'm not sure what Layla's doing. But for this wind blowing activity, painting, you start with some blue water paint, and now take it over, and it's like raindrops. Just kind of drop them on there, and then we're gonna do something else with them. Kind of drop them off randomly. Now, Layla, you're gonna act like the wind, and you're gonna put the straw right next to one of the puddles and blow on it. Isn't that cool? Okay, so Layla is getting very creative with this. She just threw thunder, you said? And now what else are you gonna draw?
A flower to make raindrops on roses.
Now, one thing I will recommend too is the first round I made the water paint way too runny. So I dumped out a bunch of the water and then added more paint to it, and it's a lot thicker now. I just feel like the consistency is better. So make sure you play around with it and make sure you get the consistency you want, that it's not just running off the paper like it was ours first. Here is Layla's wind painting, all done. There's her rose with raindrops. Beautiful. So just like when I used to teach school, same thing happens sometimes when I'm homeschooling. I change my mind at last minute and I come up with something different that I want to do. I just kind of read the room or I read my child, and if I feel like something's not going to go over well, I flip it. So I didn't think she'd really want to do the wind sock today. That's what we were going to make because it kind of went with the wind. I thought that'd be a fun craft. But I just felt like she wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it today. So while we were reading the book, it was talking about how wind occurs when warm air rises and cool air falls. And I saw this one activity a while ago where you take a water bottle, you do an experiment to show how warm air rises. So that's what we're gonna do instead. That's gonna be our activity, is like a little experiment. Layla, do you remember in the book, we talked about how warm air rises and cold air falls? So look, I have this balloon on this, and there's air inside of here. There's air inside of the water bottle, but look, it must be cold because nothing's happened. But I'm going to pour some hot water in this bowl, and we're gonna heat the air up, and we're gonna see what happens, okay? Super fun and easy activity to do with your kids. I mean, this is stuff you probably already have around your house. I know I always have balloons for some reason in water bottles. Thursday was all on thunderstorms. So again, we started off reading a book, and then we did one of the worksheets I created, and then we did a really cute thunderstorm craft. So I just got a big piece of paper, and then I gave her some black and white paint. And then I just had her paint some really dark clouds. I cut out some lightning from just some yellow paper, some raindrops, and she's then stuck those all onto the page. The paint was still wet, so it easily stuck on there. And that was fun, just kind of create our own thunderstorm. The project we did that day was super cool too. We took some blue water. I just put some food coloring into some water and froze it into ice cubes. And then I got a big clear tray, filled it up with lukewarm water. That was key there. And then I dripped some red food coloring onto one side of the container and then quickly put the blue ice cubes on the other. And you can visually see, this is the red is the hot water, the blue is the cold. You can visually see how the cold pushes the hot air up, and that instability is what causes the thunderstorm. And then as a bonus, because Layla's kind of into tornadoes right now, I've seen a bunch of crafts where you could take like 2 big liter bottles and make a tornado, but I didn't have 2 big liter bottles to do it, so I found another way to make a tornado in a jar, and it was so easy. All you have to do is just get some water in a clear mason jar or some type of jar with a lid on it, and then you just put a few drops, just like I think I just did 2 small little drops of some dish soap. Close the lid and then swirl it, in the circular section, and it makes a cool tornado. That was fun. You can do it over and over and over again. Friday started off just as normal. We read a book and then we did one of the worksheets that I had created. And then we did some raindrop activities. So the raindrop craft we did is you could just use regular paper, but I had one of those canvases that you can get from Target for super inexpensive or the Dollar Tree. And I glued an umbrella on it. I just cut it out to some umbrella clip art. Then I gave her some blue watercolor and a dropper, and she made little raindrops on it. I tilted the canvas up so that the raindrops would fall, and it was really cool, and she loved that. She thought it was so cool to paint with it like an easel. That was our craft for the day. And then for activity, I showed her what rain is like coming through the clouds. So again, you take a mason jar. I used a mason jar a lot for these activities this week, and build it up with just some water, and then put shaving cream on the top of it. And then again, I gave her some blue watercolors in a dropper, and she had to drop the water on top of the shaving cream. The water in the mason jar, I told her, represents air. The shaving cream represents a cloud, and then the blue water represents rain. And I showed her how when you put the rain in the cloud, eventually it'll go down, it'll get denser, and it'll start dropping from the clouds into the air or the water. So we had fun watching the water drip down into the water and making it rain. You could use other colors too to make it more colorful, but we just stuck with the blue because I wanted it to look like rain. That was my first week of homeschooling. I gotta say, it was a lot of work, a lot of prep work, but it was very rewarding. One thing that was pretty cool is we live in Southern California and it never thunderstorms. But the day after we did our thunderstorm activity, we had a thunderstorm. I couldn't believe the chances of that. So it was fun because we got to talk again about what made the thunderstorm, the hot and the cold air. That was just cool, and I knew that she had learned something and that she was picking up on it. It was just fun to have that experience with her and creating what she's learning. And I really like doing the weekly themes because I feel like with preschool, preschool is learning through play. I want to make it fun and exciting for her and for her to enjoy learning and almost not even realize that she is learning while we're playing. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you liked these activities, if you like what I'm doing. I would love to hear your feedback on it. Thanks again for watching. Bye everyone.